So I'm actually living on my dream farm, believe it or not. We love it here. We also enjoy the view here. It's a beautiful view. I have a lot of people love to come out here and see the farm and the animals and hear about how we farm.
Penn State identifies this area. It's where people come to go to football games and to bring their students to college. And this is an important corridor to preserve visually and environmentally and historically.
I think the community, all of us, recognize the need for the safety. You may not like what they're telling you. I don't like them telling me what they're going to do out there. Some of us are going to have to give some stuff up. I feel I can say that because I know I am.
Transportation projects have to have a high level of scrutiny. I guess we don't want to be burned any more than we have been before.
It's the lies, the deception, and the length of time that they put us through as we sit here in limbo waiting for them to let us know what it is they're going to do with our property that we had bought and our plans and future plans, our American dream. It's torture to have to sit there and wait for them.
I think it's never too late for the community to express their interests, their values, and bring that forward into the process.
Imagine a beautiful U.S. Route 322 bridge arching over Spring Creek and its restored floodplain. Imagine a regional park and trail system connecting Penn's Brush Valley. Imagine a parkway rather than a freeway. Imagine Rethinking 322. The proposed State College Area Connector will replace U.S. Route 322 between Potter's Mills and Boalsburg with an 8-mile high-speed freeway segment. One of the initial alignments for the SCAC was in Linden Hall along Cedar Run.
In the beginning of this phase, when PennDOT presented the alternative routes and one went through the Cedar Run Valley, community members had an intuitive sense that that wasn't a very good place for the route to be, but it was very difficult for them to articulate that, and it came off more or less as, or it had the risk of coming off very much as a not in my backyard argument. And what I brought to the process was a landscape architect's perspective of looking at a variety of values in that landscape and evaluating the proposed route as it related to those values.
I've been heartened by the number of people who have attended a number of PennDOT open houses, but also showed up at a lot of other events where they've been really curious to learn more about how do you improve safety, how do you ensure historic areas are protected, farmland is protected, waterways are protected. What does it look like to actually have community buy-in in a project, and this community is showing up?
The proposed central alignment of the freeway will be built by slicing across the landscape, cutting into the hills, and pushing the soil up on top of the farmlands. This process, called cut and fill, will then be compacted and leveled for a new expressway.
What the impact of cut and fill would actually mean for the experience of the landscape. It would disrupt the agricultural pattern, etc. And what sound would be like in that particular valley as the highway came through it.
Cut and fill will result in approximately 20 embankments. Some will be over 1 mile long and up to 25 feet tall. Combined, they will form a wall dividing historic Penn's Brush Valley. The natural topography and familiar views of Mount Nittany will be interrupted by concrete barriers and the roar of high-speed traffic.
Years ago, in the 1960s, the Center County Historical Society actually got involved with 322 through the process of PennDOT developing the Mount Nittany Expressway, which is commonly known as the 322 bypass. The bypass nearly demolished the Center Furnace Mansion, and that's when the Historical Society first got involved. They created a grassroots effort, a community effort, really to save the mansion and make sure that it was saved for posterity. The 322 project approached Potter's Mills Gap. There was an effort on the Center County Historical Society to initiate the process of creating the Penn's Brush Valley Rural Historic District. It was a huge project that involved community members and I'm quite sure thousands of hours of time to make sure that this historic district was put in place before the 322 project got to the point where it is today, which is the State College Area Connector project. One of the things that we say, and with the Landscape Architecture Department that we emphasize, is that it needs to be a context-sensitive treatment of this area.
The Penns Brush Valley Rural Historic District was determined eligible for the National Register of Historic Places in 2002. Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act requires any project that uses federal funding in the Rural Historic District, such as the SCAC, to avoid or mitigate damage to historic structures and landscapes.
Because of this historic district, PennDOT is legally bound to treat this district with sensitivity.
Safety is important. While many people oppose the State College Area Connector, everyone agrees that safety is a problem with the current design of 322.
She ended up hitting me, and I was like super freaked out, but I didn't know what to do necessarily. The visibility along that entire highway is like just really poor.
The current plan for the State College Area Connector solves safety by higher speeds on a new expressway. This will improve speed and efficiency for long-distance auto and truck traffic. Local communities in the shadow of the freeway will sacrifice farms, homes, and businesses so that others can save a few minutes on their way to Interstate 99. Conventional wisdom suggests that connecting two freeway sections with a new freeway is the only option. But this is not a conventional valley. This is Penn's Brush Valley, a high-speed freeway is not the only safe option. One of the arguments for the SCAC is the need to connect freeway segments that end in Potter's Mills and Boalsburg. The idea being that a consistent roadway is a safer roadway. Yet, a study of 322 between Interstate 81 in Harrisburg and Interstate 99 in State College shows many different segments of varying speeds and designs.
So if you think about transportation, what you're trying to do, right? Right now you have an inconsistent road where you have a 4-lane highway that stops and then it picks up a little bit later. I think the proposal on the table is to connect those points with no on and off ramps in between, except where the exits currently are. But if you look at 322 as a whole, the roadway is inconsistent if you look from Harrisburg all the way up through State College and beyond. So for example, this section down by Duncannon, near where the Juniata and Susquehanna River come together, that's a divided highway now with just very narrow sort of safety poles to keep people from crossing. As you come up through Lewistown, railroad tracks cross the road. As you come up over 322, the road is very windy, does not meet interstate standards there either. And so one of the questions I think for the section of 322 that's being proposed through this area with the State College Area Connector is, who does it serve? Are we serving and diverting traffic from the broader roadways across Pennsylvania, particularly the Turnpike, and you're bringing more truck traffic through this area? Are you simply serving high volume days such as football days, or how do you actually really think about transportation to benefit multiple users, local users, truck traffic for sure, but recreational users? Something like Rockruff State Forest is right there, and a huge amount of recreation and opportunities in that area. What does that look like? So again, who are you trying to transport through the area? What are you trying to transport, and how do you do so safely? Can you think about other design opportunities that actually allow for context-specific opportunities for this area?
In fall 2024, the Rethinking project asked Ian Lockwood to review the SCAC corridor. Lockwood is a professional engineer and recognized as a national leader in sustainable transportation policy and urban design. He presented alternative perspectives to improve safety within the existing highway corridor at a public lecture in Boalsburg.
So this happens all the time with state highway building groups like this. They're supposed to be departments of transportation, but some of them still think they're departments of highway building, and they haven't lost that sort of DNA. They built the parts at the ends decades ago, and they just got to wait out everybody until they can build the part in the middle. But we've learned so much more since those days. Like, it's not the 70s anymore. And keep in mind, highway building only really started in the 50s. So when they started at this, they didn't know what the consequences were. They had no idea. And they need to think about what appropriate contextual infrastructure looks like in this area and build that. It's completely unsustainable. It takes away agricultural land. It creates car dependency, energy dependency. It damages the planet. Like, there's nothing good that comes out of this. And we move on and destroy the next farm and the next farm and the next farm. And the engineers did everything they could to just perpetuate their model, their conventional paradigm. But engineers are the boss. Landscape architects shrub it up after. They do the context-sensitive design. We do the heavy thinking. That's the attitude that a lot of DOTs have. But landscape architects need to take and need to be positioned to have a much more influential role on big infrastructure decisions.
Lockwood and studio professor Marriott worked on the traffic calming project for U.S. Route 50 in Virginia. The 2-lane rural road located in a historic district with truck safety concerns was not unlike 322. After many years of litigation, VDOT developed a traffic calming plan in partnership with the local communities. The Federal Highway Administration defines context-sensitive solutions, CSS, as a collaborative interdisciplinary approach that involves stakeholders to provide a transportation facility that fits its physical setting and preserves scenic, aesthetic, historic, and environmental resources, while maintaining safety and mobility. Maryland State Highway Landscape Architects were at the forefront of the CSS movement. Landscape architects have worked closely with civil engineers for safe and beautiful roadways. Consider Interstate 83 in Pennsylvania and Maryland. The road is identical in both states, a two-lane divided highway traveling across the rolling hills of the northern Piedmont. The significant difference is in the use of landscape architects. In Maryland, the road follows the topography, which minimizes cut and fill. In Pennsylvania, it slices across the topography. Context-sensitive solutions were used for Maryland's Inter-County Connector, Maryland Route 200. Intensive plantings using native and pollinator species were carefully choreographed to hide sound walls. Bridge rails were designed to allow views of the landscape, and a multi-use trail, well separated from the roadway, links neighborhoods, parks, and schools. Maryland State Highway Administration often works with land studies, landscape architects, and engineers to develop plans for watershed management, wildlife crossing, and ecological restoration.
Intercounty Connector was a large, new highway outside of DC. And Land Studies has been working with Maryland State Highway Administration in their Department of Bridge and Hydraulics, I think about the last 25 to 30 years. It's kind of unique from the standpoint of a lot of highway departments really tend to look again at the site and the issue and then just armor it or build it up to protect it from the stream system, as opposed to looking at the stream system and then how the infrastructure can work together, that both the stream system is continues to be functional, and if not, it actually improves the function, while also protecting that infrastructure and that long-term investment. And Pennsylvania was actually referred to as the Pennsylvania Desert. They were pretty busy beavers back in the day, and pretty much deforested, especially in our area. Penns Valley, all through Po Valley. I think there was a huge mill back where the train went through there at the tunnel, and all throughout Center County. Dams really were both small and larger sized dams. Almost all of the small villages had a mill, and typically a mill pond and a mill race associated with that. So at the same time we were deforesting, there was no erosion and sediment control back then. So a lot of that sediment and a lot of streams were moved, ditched, put onto property lines, and the wetlands were dried out and filled in so that they could become productive. What happened historically and what can we do to improve that function so that we can both improve the biodiversity, the groundwater recharge, the flood storage capacity, the water quality, all those great things that our floodplains provided, while protecting the infrastructure that we need, for present day. So when we identify that layer, we basically peel off that sediment and restore the floodplain back to its historic condition, and that just brings together all of the multiple functions of way our floodplains were supposed to function.
The existing wetlands in Penn's Brush Valley are a unique ecosystem that filters, cools, and stores the water that supports agriculture, local communities, and high-quality fishing.
When you come across crossings, wetlands, streams, rivers, it's good to understand the previous impacts of what had occurred where the valley is, and then understand what future may hold for that valley to better put in a wider bridge or a better crossing, maybe do some stream channel work upstream and downstream so that that stream does not affect or impact your infrastructure. And then while you're doing that, now you can have an opportunity to possibly increase your ecology, the aquatic organisms or the hydrologic functions, try to put all that together in one big package. And then obviously cost is a major factor for all transportation corridors. You have present costs and then you have future costs, which frequently become a lot more expensive if the approach is not taken up front. I've worked with many bridges where they've had to come in and put in additional retaining walls or deeper retaining walls because streams went underneath the footings, or scour issues, or improper roadway alignment might lead to roadway embankment issues as the stream migrates into that embankment. So yeah, there's two different types of cost-benefit analysis, one that's present and one that should be looked at in the future.
The investment up front, as well as working with the various consultants and understanding and respecting what each of them bring to the table and working together to come up with a solution will help save money over the long term, millions.
Damage and loss of headwaters and wetlands during construction, and degradation to remaining wetlands due to increased runoff from a freeway will have catastrophic impact on the valley. How, where, or if the road should cross a wetland requires careful analysis for the specific site and analysis of unintended consequences elsewhere in the watershed. Conventional wisdom would assume that this would result in newly protected or created wetlands elsewhere in the valley, providing local compensation for local resources destroyed. This is not the plan. PennDOT plans to mitigate Spring Creek's wetlands 85 miles north of Penn's Brush Valley at Babb Creek Mitigation Area in Tioga County near the New York border. This trade-off is called wetlands banking. It allows PennDOT to transfer its responsibility to another location. To replace the function of the lost wetlands in Penn's Brush Valley, PennDOT will construct approximately 30 rectilinear stormwater retention ponds surrounded by chain link.
Yeah, so one of the things that we do when we impact aquatic resources, especially wetlands, is that we claim that we can mitigate that by creating man-made wetlands that replace those. Even if you put them in the same place, which is rare, the answer is that we can't do that correctly. You know, I've looked at these things for now 40 years off and on, and they do not behave like normal wetlands. They're not in the right spot in the landscape. The soils don't develop, the hydrology is different, the animals are different. Technically, yes, they're wetlands, but they are not replacement in kind for what we lose.
So this is an area with tremendously high quality water. Spring Creek eventually leads down into the Chesapeake Bay. 50% of the inflow of fresh water into the Chesapeake Bay is from Pennsylvania, from the Susquehanna River Basin, and Spring Creek is one of the headwater tributaries. I served as a member of the Chesapeake Bay Scientific and Technical Advisory Committee for 8+ years, And I think one of the key questions that really became apparent through a lot of discussions was, what is a wetland, right? What are the natural areas that help absorb water, provide habitat and biodiversity, and so forth? And you can create a mitigation bank, right? You can create a man-made wetland area, and it may look like a duck pond, but that does not have the ecosystem services or the benefits of a naturally occurring wetland.
This roadway project skirts Tussey Mountain and the Seven Mountains. Those are headwaters for Sinking Creek, which runs into Penns Creek, and for Spring Creek. Both of those are high quality cold water streams, so they're loved by fishermen. They have really great freshwater benefits for species.
A Spring Creek Regional Park with a parallel multi-use trail could link the center region and expand environmental and recreational goals for area residents and visitors. PennDOT funds for mitigation could help with the design, planning, and land acquisition for a green corridor along Spring Creek.
Bought the farm in 1980. Larry planted the first trees in 1981. We got the first harvest off the farm in 1986. And it took Larry 3+ years to finally find the land that he knew he could grow Christmas trees on. Well, this soil is absolutely perfection for Fraser firs. And Larry introduced the first Fraser firs to this region. So yes, the soil we have here is, you won't find any better to grow this type of tree. And I rest my case, look at them. They're beautiful. PennDOT is not going to be able, for the land they take, they're not going to be able to find a comparable soil type. And if they take, 13 acres or, a quarter of the farm, what does this 3/4 do for us if it's here and the other whatever is, 15 miles down the road? Seriously, and other farmers I'm sure have the same issues. Larry was still with us when we went to PennDOT offices to talk to them about what was going to happen, the time frame. And back then, and if you believed it, that road should have been done by now. I mean, and we're still in the planning phase. I guess part of me questions, given the state of the economy and the cost of things, can PennDOT really afford this? Truly. When eminent domain came up for our farm, we were at a big meeting, and of course everybody was concerned about being reimbursed equitably for the value of their land. At the time, and this would have been 3 or 4 years ago, PennDOT was talking about this being agricultural land. Mm-hmm. And I finally got so upset, and I hadn't made a reservation to speak. You had to, put your name in. But I stood up and said, I am a farmer, and yes, I have a crop, but I don't plant in the spring and harvest in the fall. I plant in 2020 and finish harvesting in 2030. How do you intend to reimburse me for the value of what is in the ground but can't be harvested yet? And there was this stone dead silence in an auditorium of 200 and some people. Mm-hmm. And I kid you not, the moderator said, Mrs. Coons, could we meet you at the back of the auditorium when this is over? That was my answer. There was a lot of information that was either not necessarily inaccurate, but not shared. And yeah, left a lot of questions. I feel that PennDOT did not do their homework before they came and approached us about eminent domain. They didn't understand the culture of this particular area. This has been the epicenter of our family. Larry and I were married almost 50 years, and this farm was here for 40 of those 50 years before he died. And it was, this is what we did. All of our family came here for Christmas because we were selling trees. We couldn't go anywhere. And it was a happy place. I hate to think that will not be around for my grandchildren. Yeah, it was the core of our life. We made plans according to what had to be done at the farm. We didn't take big vacations in the summer because you are working your fingers to the nubbins. It's our family. It's what we do.
We want to be farmers. We love taking care of the land, to plant the seed, to harvest the crops. That's what makes us farmers. We don't mind the hard work and the weather conditions that may take away with our hard work or whatever. We're willing to deal with all of that. The land is important. Right now they're threatening my son's house and barn and all his buildings, and they're threatening to take it along with some farmland. It's like he has said, take my buildings, I can replace them, but I can't replace the farmland. Hopefully our plans were to continue living here until we could no longer live here. My husband actually passed away here with Alzheimer's. He lays on this farm. I plan to join him someday. This is our farm, the farm I'm on. This is my son's farm right here, right next door. His farm is the one that's in jeopardy. They're talking about putting all 4 lanes on this side of the present 322, which is what you see down there now. And they'll put all 4 lanes over here on us. I don't know how far up they're going to come, how much of the land they're going to take, because it sounds like they're going to take all his buildings. We don't know whether we're going to have enough money to rebuild all the buildings he needs to continue farming, if we'll have enough land to continue farming. We're really not sure what is ahead for us. And we've been in 5 years waiting to find out what is ahead for us in life. The life that we've spent so much time and money and love and effort to get into is now being threatened for the second time. But in any case, it's my fate in life, I guess, to keep losing my American dream to the government, but that seems to be the way it is. And somehow I'll get through it. It's not easy.
In 2022, Tom Yanner asked Dan Marriott to share his expertise helping local communities develop successful solutions with their state DOTs. Marriott worked with the Federal Highway Administration to develop the National Scenic Byways Program and was on the External Review Committee for FHWA's Flexibility in Highway Design Guide. He has worked with the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, AASHTO, and over 20 DOTs from New York to Hawaii.
As a land-grant institution, this type of public outreach is important for us as a university, and it's important for our students, and especially for the Department of Landscape Architecture. We've been involved with these conversations in the Valley for a number of years, and this is our latest engagement with the residents of the Valley looking at the new PennDOT project. For the students, it's an opportunity for them to give back to the community. Landscape architects historically have been involved in highway design, and some of the great highways of the United States have strong landscape architecture involvement. Our understanding of design, our understanding of safety, environmental circumstances, cultural resources give us a macro view of what a highway brings and can offer to a community.
My project is focusing on mitigation, and more specifically, I want to kind of look at how we can demystify that. There's great wells of information coming from the community that can be accessed in these transit projects, even though they seem so far removed from everything else.
So what I've found is that Pennsylvania has one of the largest growing economic industries. There's so many different ecological regions in Rothrock, as well as plenty of different opportunities. I don't see why we can't increase the infrastructure around them.
We're currently having a lot of disconnected bike lanes and trails, and then we're also lacking a stable design systems for this kind of trails. For the current plan for the 322, it doesn't contain bike lanes or multi-trails, but for the new 322 plan, we need them as a part of this.
I'm focusing on the noise abatement that can be created through the 322 proposed expansion and find ways to remediate that. After actually being in the site, I understood how loud the experience can be and how small design choices can make a big impact on the users.
I am looking at Route 322's impact on water habitats. The study area has a rather large and detrimental effect on these habitats because it can create a negative feedback loop that starts at the very bottom of like the energy pyramid, and it can build all the way up the top.
For this, I'm examining how PennDOT is engaging with the community in their public meetings, how the community feels with the way PennDOT is doing that, and what sort of strategies other Department of Transportations are using to support their rural communities.
Crashes affects so many people, whether you're directly involved or a family member. It has a big outreach, so it's an important topic for me to look at. Accidents are a very horrible thing, and you really don't want to see those numbers increasing year in and year out.
My first year, I worked on using AI as a visualization tool to help community members see a future. And I feel that as a community in this moment, you have a voice in getting it done and changed.
Throughout the process of creating this film and working with different members of the community, going out and talking to them directly, it's really put into perspective how much this project is going to devastate and change their lives. And I felt the best way, if at the least we can document and have on record how much these people have been affected and what their farms used to look like and what the valley used to look like before this project went into place, I feel like that's valuable. It's really difficult to see these people go through this kind of pain, and I really wanted to show other people how important this is to them and why this is a place worth saving.
I think it's the approach that we took to the ICC is really what we would love to bring to this project. and really kind of identifying both what we can do as far as restoring and improving the stream systems, but identifying where we can help PennDOT achieve their goals.
The work that balances safety and the critical highway concerns of just being able to move people from point A to point B safely and efficiently comes together with the magic of really understanding the specifics of the landscape, how the hills and the contours work, the culture, the history of the place, and create a vision for 322 that can, I think, meet the needs of all stakeholders.
It's not a STEM subject, it's a design problem. And so at some point, we need to make city making, relationship making, network making, experiential quality. That needs to become important again. It's not just about moving traffic and trucks anymore. I think landscape architects have the vocabulary to express that and say, no, State College is too important to be destroyed by your new, untested, now tested metrics that we can see with our own eyes doesn't work.
Do we in fact need a separate 4-lane highway through this area? Or are there ways to improve the existing roadway to deal with the safety questions that are prevalent and everybody agrees needs to be handled?
What would you say to a community that's kind of lost faith? Should they still fight the fight and push forward?
No, it's definitely not too late. I think people should push back still, because once that highway's completed, they're done for a long time. And it'll be one of those legacy highways that said, oh yeah, look what they did back in 2025. Like, gee, if they only had done this, it would have been so much better.
That process of the community coming together to express their values and their interests is something that can exist throughout the process. I think it's never too late for the community to express their interests, their values, and bring that forward into the process.
The Center for Expansion proves that PennDOT can rethink a freeway project, and now it's the time to rethink the State College Area Connector project.
Imagine a beautiful U.S. Route 322 bridge arching over Spring Creek and its restored floodplain. Imagine a regional park and trail system connecting the Penn's Brush Valley. Imagine a parkway rather than a freeway. Imagine rethinking 322. To learn more about the Rethinking 322 project, review the student guidebooks and other resources regarding the SCAC, please visit centerhistory.org/research-explore/connector.